Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see it. And today was going to be a pretty serious show. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, my handle is CTABANZ. The name is Charles Sabansi, and also make sure you follow Dreamers Pro. We're also on Instagram as well, same name. And also make sure you check out the Dreamers Pro podcast we have pinned in the comments section below. Let me get into this topic here. Now, this particular topic was something that we discussed internally today about whether or not we thought it was going to be a good idea for us to produce this show, right? Because sometimes you have to know how to be tactful when approaching certain topics, and this one was certainly no exception. Now, for those of you guys who may remember, Kyrie Irving used to be a Nike athlete. He was one of the few people in the world in terms of the NBA division that had their own shoe. I mean, you're talking about Kyrie, you're talking about LeBron, you're talking about Kevin Durant, you're talking about Devin Booker, maybe in a few others, right? It's a very select group of NBA players, and he was one of them. Paul George was another one. So for you to be one of them is a pretty big deal. But as you guys know, Kyrie Irving then put out that tweet, which created this firestorm around him. It was a big thing. And then ultimately, Nike and Bob Knight and these guys severed their contract. I think they terminated his contract immediately, which left Kyrie Irving as a free agent. And Kyrie ended up being replaced by Ja Morant as another Nike athlete. So when that happened, a lot of people were speculating what Kyrie Irving should do next. Some people were saying, start your own shoe brand. Now, that's a very daunting endeavor because you're not getting into manufacturing, you're getting into design. You're not going to be competing. I mean, it's a whole different thing. Some people said maybe he should go sign with other shoemakers, like maybe what's the company, Adidas. I don't know if people brought up Reebok or whoever it is. I don't know. But there were all of these things floating around, and a lot of people were interested to see when would the news come out about where Kyrie Irving would ultimately get a new shoe. Then about a few months ago, we got some news that Kyrie Irving was going to be signing with the shoe company called Anta. And Anta is a Chinese apparel brand, right? And the way the deal was structured, I believe Kyrie Irving also has some ownership, has some creative control within the company. So in terms of, if we're looking at it from a contractual standpoint and the way the deal was structured, it seemed like something that would be beneficial to Kyrie Irving. And I've actually seen some images of him wearing the shoe as recent when they were playing, the Dallas Mavericks were playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the preseason. So I saw the shoe, not really too into it, but whatever. So what happened? This morning I was going through the internet and I went to Yahoo Sports. Something told me, just go to Yahoo Sports and see what's going on there. And I came across an article with the headline stating, Kyrie Irving's new Chinese shoe company is linked to human rights abuses. U.S. Congress warns the league. And I was like, wow, this is very serious. So I actually want to get into this article and read some of the things that it has to say here. Dallas Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving signed a new shoe deal with the Chinese apparel company earlier this year, which marked his first such sneaker partnership since his contract with Nike ended amid controversies in New York. That deal made Irving the chief creative officer at Anta, a Chinese apparel giant worth more than $30 billion. According to a new Rolling Stone article, however, Anta has been directly linked to crimes against humanity and genocide by the Chinese government when it comes to forced labor, and the United States government is warning the NBA about it. A letter from the U.S. Congress sent to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver that was made public earlier this month warned that Anta and other apparel firms in China publicly embrace the use of supply chains linked to forced labor and help fund the genocide committed there. A letter sent to National Basketball Player Association specifically mentioned Irving's deal with Anta. While the genocide continues, Anta will likely continue to profit from the systematic use of forced labor. The letter to NBPA President C.J. McCollum read, the United Nations Human Rights Office accused China of human rights violations that may constitute international crimes, in particular crimes against humanity. When it comes to the treatment of others and Muslim groups last year, according to the New York Times, the U.S. went further, calling it a genocide. The Uyghur are a group of Muslims that make up about half of the region's estimated 25 million population along China's western border. Hundreds of thousands, if not more than a million, and other minorities have been sent to indoctrination camps since at least March 2017, according to the Times. China has claimed the camps are benign vocational training schools. However, horrific allegations have surfaced about the treatment of people there. The government has allegedly forced the people to work in factories. Anta, per Rolling Stone sources, its cotton from the region despite a U.S. ban on cotton from there. Many other companies, including Nike, Burberry, Calvin Klein, and Tommy Hilfiger, have since stopped using cotton from that region. Anta has faced similar criticism in the past. The company was the official apparel provider for the 2022 Beijing Olympics, and the IOC had to make sure the uniforms did not contain cotton after a backlash. Anta also slammed former Houston Rocket executive Daryl Morey after he supported Hong Kong in a tweet in 2019. Anta declined to comment to Rolling Stone, though a statement on their website insists all suppliers are prohibited from using forced or involuntary labor. First and foremost, both Kyrie and Anta stand firmly against human rights violation. Irving's representative said in a statement, the allegations surrounding Anta's involvement in such practices are gravely concerning. However, Anta has consistently clarified that their suppliers are prohibited from using forced or involuntary labor in any part of their manufacturing process. We urge the media and the public to approach this matter with fairness and nuance, refraining from perpetuating narratives that are biased and or unfounded. Kyrie's association with Anta seeks to enhance basketball's creative side and uplift emerging talent. We remain committed to ethical business practices and are always open to informed, constructive dialogue. And to quickly just close out here, it says Irving is not the only player in the league with a deal from Anta, though he's the only player with an executive who's an executive at the company. Golden State Warriors star Klay Thompson has a 10-year, $80 million deal with the company. Charlotte Hornets forward Gordon Hayward and Warriors center Kevon Looney also have Anta shoe deals. And it goes on to say a few other things there. As I was reading that article, I quickly began to realize that we're now going into the realm of politics. And it was something that I was unaware of, but now that we're here, we might as well broach it because there's no turning back now. This issue is multi-layered, and as the article said, it's nuanced. There are many different layers to look at this thing. First of all, there's a layer of where you have athletes looking for looking for brand deals, and you have shoe companies that are looking to make a profit. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the human rights component, right? That the article is basically focused on, where you don't want violations to be taking place. Then there's a larger scale when you have, and let me just see this. Who's the the government body that sent out the letter to the U.S. Congress? Then you have the U.S. Congress, the governments that are also getting involved in this by sending that letter to kind of warn the NBA. And then once you get to that aspect of it, you now start bringing in politics. Right? You start bringing in politics. You also heard the article mentioned Daryl Morey. Right now, why is Daryl Morey important? Because Daryl Morey was the one that he had some opinions about the things that were happening there in China as it pertained to human rights issues. And some people within the NBA were not happy with that. I think the NBA wasn't happy with that because of Nike and the partnership that they have out there. Even LeBron wasn't happy about it. And that's one of the things that people have against LeBron, because they're like, you have all of this fervor for all of these issues and all of that, but you're playing a role in this, which brings us now to Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie maybe inadvertently now finds himself annexed to a story like this. Do I think Kyrie Irving is part of the day-to-day manufacturing process of how these things are being done? No. You heard what it said. He's a creative director. So he comes in and plays a different role. He's not going to be there for the day-to-day because Kyrie Irving is a basketball player, number one. Number two, he lives in the United States. So how are you going to know how business is run from a daily basis when you don't even live in the country where the business is, right? So to a certain extent, I'm going to give Kyrie a pass here. But if we're being honest about this is a much bigger issue. If you heard later on in the article, it mentioned some other companies. It said, enter per Rolling Stone sources is cotton from the region despite a U.S. ban on cotton from there. It then goes on to say many other companies, hear that, many other companies, including Nike, Burberry, Calvin Klein, and Tommy Hilfiger have since stopped using cotton from that region. Now, the operative word here is stopped. Stopped, meaning it's something that they used to do. Maybe until the government stepped in, right? So to me, this is a very, very large issue. I think is an issue bigger than Kyrie. The issue with Nike, I think, is bigger than LeBron. It is much bigger because Nike is not just a shoe company, an apparel company, that makes basketball shoes. Nike does everything. They make sports apparel, they make shoes, they make jerseys, they do everything, right? So to me, I think it's a very, very big issue. Nevertheless, I think it's something worth broaching, at least for the edification of the audience, right? Because I believe people are going to gain some valuable information, and it's up to you to now decide what you want to do with this information. I'm not here to cast any judgment on anyone because, number one, I don't have all the facts, and I'm not going to pretend that I have all of the facts after reading just one article. If this was something that I researched heavily, consistently, then I'll probably be able to take a stronger position in any direction. But as of now, a lot of it is quite surprising to me, and I'm going to follow the story as it continues on. But it seems like there are major conflicts in here because for the government to essentially ban, or governments to ban companies like Nike, Burberry, Calvin Klein, and Tommy Hilfiger from producing or from sourcing, their cotton from that region, it tells you that there's something there. And I think that this is something that's probably going to be dealt with in the near future. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about this report? What are your thoughts on it? Your general thoughts. Number two, do you think Kyrie Irving was aware of this? Number three, what do you think are possible solutions that can be made moving forward? And some people will say, finally, to close it out, some people say, well, just stop working with them. Stop doing all of these things. You now present another problem. Because now, are you ready for these shoes to start becoming really, really expensive? Are you ready for your phones to start becoming really, really... What people do are they're looking for countries where they can have cheaper labor, right? They're going to look for... So if you start producing everything in-house, now some people may be for that. Hey, let's manufacture everything in the United States. Just know that those shoes are going to be way more expensive than they would if they were being made in other countries. And these are all of the things that we have to deal with. And if we're going to take a strong position on this issue, for example, if you say, okay, listen, Kyrie, you're going to get a slap on the wrist. You're wrong. LeBron, you're going to get a slap on the wrist. Are we just going to stop at sports apparel? Are we going to go through our homes and take inventory of every single thing that we have and then go into the backlog and understand, okay, how are all of these things being manufactured, and then throw all of those things out as well? That's why I said it's a very robust issue, right? And I'm not here to cast judgment on anyone. I just wanted to know what the audience thought. So these are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you guys on the next show. You have a good one. Peace.